Welcome everybody to our regular council meeting for Tuesday, February 18th, 2025. I'd like to call the meeting to order. We do have all council members present and a full gallery tonight, so thank you and welcome. We acknowledge that this land is the traditional territory of the Three Fires Confederacy of First Nations, comprised of the Ojibwe, the Ottawa, and the Potawatomi peoples, and of the Huron-Wendat peoples. We value the significant historical and contemporary contributions of local and regional First Nations and of all the original peoples of Turtle Island who have been living and working on the land from time immemorial. If you are able, please stand for our national anthem.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command.
Car ton bras sait porter l'épée, il sait porter la croix. Ton histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits.
God keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to take a minute to recognize a cherished member of our community. It is with heavy hearts that we honor the memory of Jim McPherson, who passed away on February 8th at the age of 91. Jim served as the mayor of the town of Essex for 2 terms, 1985 to 1991. Throughout his life, James served his community with great dedication. As a longtime member of the Holy Name of Jesus Parish and other groups, he was deeply committed to his faith. His involvement with Essex Kinsmen Club, the Essex Mural Committee, and the Royal Canadian Legion, and his contributions to local sports, particularly Essex Minor Baseball, will forever be remembered. As we reflect on his life and legacy, let us take a moment of silence to honor the remarkable impact he's made on our community and the love he shared with those around him. So we'll just have a brief moment of silence. Thank you. Any declarations of conflicts of interest from members of council this evening? Seeing none right now, if you find yourself in conflict, just let us know later. I need a mover and a seconder of the adoption of the published agenda for the regular council meeting for February 15th, 2025. Moved by Councillor McGuire-Blaise, supported by Deputy Mayor Shepley. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Adoption of the minutes from the February 3rd, 2025 regular council meeting, needing a mover and a seconder. Councillor Guerin, Councillor Mady. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Needing a mover and a seconder for the special council meeting minutes for December 16th, 2024. This is the zoning bylaw amendment for 0 Maidstone Avenue. That the minutes be adopted as circulated. Moved by Councillor Allard, supported by Deputy Mayor Shepley. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor? And that is carried. Moving on to our public presentations, which is why we have quite the full house. Ms. Jabor, our Manager of Planning Services, will read through the presentations. I will run to the back, and after each one, we'll do a quick picture, and then we'll do a group picture out in the lobby. Okay? Ms. Jabor, Manager of Planning Services.
Thank you. And through the mayor, good evening, members of council and members of the public that are here tonight with us. This week, we join communities all across Ontario in celebrating Heritage Week, which is an annual celebration of our town's unique history. The Community Heritage Preservation Award is an important part of Essex's Heritage Week events because it provides an opportunity to recognize organizations and individuals who have helped to preserve and promote Essex's local history. This year, we are honored to present the awards to 4 recipients. Our first recipient tonight is Heritage Essex. Heritage Essex is a nonprofit body that is dedicated to the preservation of heritage sites, articles, and artifacts throughout the town of Essex. Most notably, Heritage Essex operates the Essex Railway Station, which is a restored historic site and local landmark in Essex Center that dates back to 1887. Heritage Essex was formed in the early 90s by a group of community-minded individuals who were concerned about the state of the train station and who raised money for its preservation. Before the station was owned by the town of Essex, as it is today, it was actually owned by CN Rail. Through the tireless work of staff and volunteers, Heritage Essex has welcomed thousands of visitors to the station from across North America and as far as Peru and India. Heritage Essex provides guided tours of the site, and they are the stewards of a variety of artifacts and memorabilia from the railway's past. Heritage Essex is also the organizer of the Essex Model Train Show, which is coming up. This is the group's annual fundraising event and is one of the largest train shows in southwestern Ontario. Congratulations to Heritage Essex.
You, Mr. Bohr. Can we just have one member from Heritage Essex come back here, and I will, whoever's closest. Congratulations. We'll get a group photo out there after. Right? Yeah, I think we'll do a group. Okay, continue, Mr. Bohr.
Our next recipient is Heritage Colchester. When the historic Colchester Schoolhouse was being considered for sale by the town of Essex in 2020, a small group of people banded together and petitioned the town of Essex to give them an opportunity to find a way to allow the schoolhouse to serve the community once again. Heritage Colchester was later formed as a nonprofit in 2021 and entered into a deal with the town of Essex for the use of the building. The group's main mission is to share the history and development of Colchester, which is one of the earliest villages in Canada. Since the schoolhouse is not yet upgraded to allow for occupancy, Heritage Colchester has used the grounds surrounding the school to provide for well-attended summer vendor markets and community events to fundraise for the restoration of the schoolhouse. Heritage Colchester also collaborates with the neighboring Anglican Church, Christ Church, to provide several well-attended summer and winter live theater productions put on by the University of Windsor's Inspired Acting Lab. And they also participate in the annual global event, the Jane's Walk. The group also accepts the responsibility of caring for the endangered chimney swift bird population that reside in the schoolhouse's large chimney. Each year, they undertake several bird counts for Birds Ontario and the Ontario Swift Watch groups, not to be mistaken with Taylor Swift, that are used for research. Heritage Colchester is currently working with certified heritage planning engineers to have accurate architectural drawings of the existing building so that decisions and future planning can be effectively created. This should provide the much needed scope and sequence of repairs and upgrades needed to attain an occupancy permit as they work together with the town of Essex for this mutual purpose. The group is eager to occupy the old schoolhouse and offer year-round programs and community access to this historic landmark while sharing the rich history of the area. Congratulations to Heritage Colchester.
Great work. Thank you so much. You'll have to get a wall. Yeah.
Our next recipient tonight is Edward Milo Johnson. Milo was born in Harrow and attended Harrow Public School and Harrow High School before obtaining his teacher's degree in 1973. Milo would enjoy a 32-year career as a physical education teacher with the Greater Essex County District School Board until his retirement in 2004. And I'm sorry, Milo, I'm showing your age. Milo's interest in family genealogy and local Black history research led him to author 6 books, including The Greyer Family Genealogy, New Canaan Freedom Land, and The Mystery of New Canaan. Milo is a director with the Harrow Early Immigrant Research Society and frequently puts on talks exploring the Black presence locally and throughout Canada. In Milo's words, my Black history books, short stories, poetry, and writings endeavor to acknowledge today's societal paradigm shift from moral living to a life governed by the pursuit of riches, social media, television, and radio, enhance people's awareness and appreciation of the world, reveal racial imbalance, advocate a consciousness of the basic needs of the disenfranchised. This acknowledgement could lead to a more charitable existence where all humanity is relevant and equal. Congratulations, Milo.
Congratulations. We'll take a picture.
Thank you. Our final recipient tonight is the late Gerald Anthony Pouget, who's also known as Jerry. Jerry was a founding member, director, and past president of the Harrow Early Immigrant Research Society. He was educated as a teacher and historian at the universities of Toronto, Windsor, and Wayne State, and went on to teach history at Harrow High School from 1960 to 1990. As a teacher, he was instrumental in getting students from Harrow High School involved with AIRS through the summer student programs and with the cemetery preservation projects, which was an extensive effort to research and preserve African Canadian cemeteries in the region. Jerry was also a staunch supporter of the promotion and protection of our local history. When the Chesapeake and Ohio Railway Company sought to demolish the Harrow Railway Station with permission from the Harrow Town Council in 1981, Jerry wrote a strongly opinionated letter to the editor of the Amherstburg Echo denouncing the demolition of the station. In Jerry's words, we North Americans have the very bad habit of destroying our old buildings. We have destroyed old churches, schools, hotels, and homes. Each time we persuade ourselves that our building is not in mint condition, it is not worth saving. The result is that we never save anything. Our railway and our heritage will only be preserved when the citizens of Harrow make up their mind that they really want to preserve a small part of our heritage. Jerry was also a lay minister and reader at St. Anthony's Church in Harrow, and he wrote a history of the parish from 1906 to 2006. Jerry sadly passed away on November 15th, 2022 at the age of 88, but his legacy will continue through the hundreds of students he taught. As one of his former students remembered Jerry on his tribute wall, Mr. Pouget was my history teacher. Yet I remember well how he made the events of the past relevant. He kindled an appreciation for local history, and his influence at AIRS is a treasure for future generations. Thank a teacher. It is our honor to present the Community Heritage Preservation Award to Mr. Pouget's family tonight. Congratulations.
Okay, so if we can have all the award winners out in the hall, we'll do 4 pictures and then we'll do a group photo. So bear with us, council. Council, residents in the audience? I'm looking for a mover and a seconder that the presentation made by Miss Rita Jabor on behalf of the Essex Municipal Heritage Committee be received, and that council extends their congratulations to Heritage Colchester, Heritage Essex, Edward Milo Johnson, and the late Gerald Anthony Pouget 2025 Community Preservation Awards. Looking for a mover and a seconder. Councillor Gallion, Councillor Hammond, any questions or comments from members of council? Seeing none, all in favor? That is carried unanimously. Moving on to 8.2, public presentations. We have Maria Cabral here to talk about parking on Walnut Street and concerns with semi-trucks. So Maria, welcome. Go back to the delegation. Stand where I was and you get 5 minutes to address council.
Bonnie, if we should maybe take just a quick recess so that we can hear. It's just a lot of activity in the hallway.
Welcome, and you have 5 minutes to address council.
Oh, I just requesting that the town relocate our driveway and build us a 2-car asphalt driveway on the other side of the driveway, the property, because the semi trucks are coming in when our vehicle is parked in our driveway, making it unsafe to park even in our driveway. So I just want the town of Essex to build a 2-car asphalt driveway on the other side of our property because of the trucks.
Okay, Maria, is that all you would like to talk to council about?
Pretty much. Because you're taking away the shoulder parking, as I understand it. So this way, the 2-car asphalt driveway on the other side would eliminate our need to park on the shoulder and would be safer for us to park our vehicle because of the semi trucks keep using our driveway as part of the roads because they're too big for the road. I'm talking about the 8-foot sleeper trucks. They're always in our driveway, even when our car is in our driveway. And they're coming very near, and we're afraid they're gonna hit our vehicle in our driveway.
If you are finished, just please turn off your mic and I'll get questions and comments from members of council. So Maria Cabral is a Harrow resident living right on Walnut Street. Deputy Mayor Shepley.
I may have another question, but right off the hop, I'm just wondering, has this ever been a case that the town's paid for a driveway to be relocated for a private business whose trucks are potentially using the driveway? I mean, I saw in the pictures, the trucks on in front of the sidewalk. I didn't actually see him in the driveway. I didn't know if you had any photographs of that at all, but I'm just wondering, has the town ever paid for a driveway for somebody to help out? I'm asking administration if the town's ever paid for a driveway to be done for a private business and trucking company.
Tonight, Mr. Macbeth?
Madam Mayor, through the chair, I don't believe that the town has ever paid to put in another driveway when one has existed just because of potential truck movement from a neighboring business.
Through you, Madam Mayor, the question to the delegate, I guess, is, so are all the trucks from one company, and have you had this conversation with the company that's responsible for the trucks?
Second, Maria, you have to have your mic on.
There's several different trucks that come at various times of the day. I'm talking about the 8-foot sleeper trucks, the really big ones. They need a part of my driveway all the time to back into the store, making it dangerous for the car to be in the driveway. And they're also destroying the cement part of the driveway that they use.
Councilor McGuire Blaze.
Thank you through the chair. Have you approached the business that is adjacent to your property? Have you approached a business whose trucks these are going to and asked them if they would help relocate the driveway for you, since it's their stuff coming into the store that's doing the damage?
Here right now, just before the meeting, and he said that my request was justified because I'm also, he's requesting the shoulder for his semi trucks to back into the store, as well as my driveway, because they use both constantly when they back into his supermarket.
Further, so he's here, but have you asked him to pay for a new driveway for you? Have you asked him to do it?
No,
So thanks. So I just asked that because I don't think it's the town's responsibility to build a new driveway, but if it's I think it might be the business owner. I don't think it's his responsibility, but I think it would be an in-kind gesture if his trucks are doing damage to your property. Also, it probably sounds a lot like maybe an OPP problem. We're driving on private property. If the trucks are continuously driving on private property, have you tried calling the police when this is happening?
we have complained, the bylaw officer said they have to be caught when they're doing it, but they use it constantly because it's the only way they can back into the store.
So thank you. So my next question, I guess, is to administration, because I don't feel that this is something the taxpayers should pay for myself. I do feel like it probably is a problem for her, but for me, it should be on either the store or for OPP. So does anybody know, can they take a video of the vehicles that are doing it and report that video to OPP?
For you, Mayor Bondi, and we'll go to Director Malandruclo. But just as a reminder for council, this is the item that was brought a number of meetings ago where council agreed to add no parking that wasn't there before. So by adding that no parking is what's creating this issue.
This can be confirmed with Manager Macbeth, but from what I understand, the information that I've gathered, we are dealing with private property, and absolutely none of that property is any public property. So we are dealing with a private property issue. So I agree with Councilor McGuire Blaze that this is something that the resident should be dealing with the OPP or a trespass to property or something a private property restraint to the issue, and not something that is a town issue to deal with. But again, Manager Macbeth could confirm that it has nothing to do with our property, but if not, it's not something that we would normally deal with. You're correct.
Through the chair, that is correct. It is a private property matter. The right of way there, they are making movements from trucks that we have seen in videos. They are then backing into the property and coming forward into the driveway, entering private property at that time. Otherwise, if they were making the movement strictly within the town's right of way, we wouldn't be having the issue come from the resident here.
A reminder to council, if I'm still on the thing, just punch your button a few times so the camera goes to you.
Thanks to the mayor. Yeah, it looks like a couple meetings ago, we might have helped with one problem and caused another problem, it looks like. Looking at the picture, so I'm just want to make sure I have the right house. It's that raised ranch with the driveway and garage on the right-hand side. The right one. Yeah, I do see. So the trucks you're telling us they're actually pulling up, not only, they're going past the sidewalk onto your private property when they're backing in, or are they just coming up to the sidewalk and backing in?
Property when the vehicle is actually in the property, and we're scared that it's gonna be hit. Because they're doing it constantly. They're doing it more and more now. We have spoken to the drivers and they keep doing it. It's the only way they can actually back into the store. They need the extra space from our private driveway.
Yeah, so they're coming up past that
Constantly.
sidewalk closer to that red vehicle,
Constantly,
or
yes.
right where that red vehicle is at times.
Yeah, we have a video.
Let's see here. In that video, I mean, if I lived there, that would bother me very much as well. I would assume that if that vehicle was there, he'd even come up even closer. So I understand your situation. I don't really have much more to add on it right now. Like, I mean, it's borderline. Sometimes it's on the public side of the property, and sometimes it's going on to your side. So I don't know what solution we have for it, but waiting to hear from more people some more input.
Council, we do have Dane Sanford in the audience. If you do want to hear from him or ask him questions, I just need a mover and a seconder and a resolution from council. Moved by Councilor Verbeek, supported by Deputy Mayor Shepley. All in favor? All in favor? Okay. Ms. Cabral, if you would come sit down, we will ask some questions of Mr. Sanford now. And the Deputy Mayor is going to go first. So Dane, head on back, and then I'll go to Councilor Meady.
Through you, Madam Mayor. So from what I see, I mean, I feel for the resident. I totally see it's, I mean, the video, I didn't see the video that helped a lot. However, it's still a private property issue between two people. And as a business owner myself, who receives deliveries, the competency of the drivers, we can't control that. And I'm sure you can't control that either. And to me, that I've driven transport truck with the big sleepers. You should be able to make that without going in your driveway, but we can't nobody can guarantee the competency of the drivers. I just don't know what the solution should be here, because it's certainly not it's not the town's responsibility to correct bad drivers or a problem between private property and private business. So for me, I'm really perplexed at what we can do. I don't know what tools we would have that would would work to solve your problem. I think it's something that's gonna have to be worked out between the two of you, and maybe some phone call, as tough as it is, some phone calls to those drivers and those companies that are sending them. And I know that doesn't guarantee anything, because a bad driver can show up at any day of the week. So I really feel for both of you in this situation, because I don't think it's a bad neighbor or a bad business owner. I think it's some bad truck drivers. I comment on that.
Did you, or
Through the mayor. So it's not a new thing that's happened since the last meeting. No actions have come from the last meeting. I originally wanted to have the back and forth as she was afforded, but unfortunately I didn't have that option exercised before. To just look at the end of her driveway as well as the first parking spot in front, okay? I think somebody had mentioned to demarcate the whole thing as no parking all the way. That's not what I was looking for. She does, in doing so, it would take away one viable parking spot in front of her house, of which I didn't want to rob her of the second or anything north of that. So the two spots that the truck you saw going close to have always been a bone of contention. And yes, it is, like you had said, the truck drivers vary in skills. You've got 18-wheelers with sleepers that can hug that corner, no problem, and never even come close to the sidewalk. And then you've got some that utilize the sidewalk and between the sidewalk and the road as their free way of going forward and backwards, and have always edged onto Maria's property, coming up close to it. Now, she's mentioned the front of the grass getting grazed and stuff. Definitely with the truck drivers, some of the companies, I'm fully supporting OPP and recouping losses through these companies because they don't listen, right? We're not a big company, so we can't really offer much pushback against these corporate ones that come out of Toronto with various drivers. So again, the two parking spots, which I had suggested to Maria that definitely when she has a vehicle parked in the area that you saw the truck pull up to, it does offer a permanent questionable, depending on the trucker, if they pull towards, but coming up to the sidewalk, it still means that it's possible that they could do some damage. So there's liability to their own vehicles as well as robbing. If there's two that are needed to be pulled, expropriated, whatever the word is, for the only grocery store in town, landlocked, that I can't offer another, access egress to, then, she's without two spots. Now, how far council goes towards mitigating that with a resident that has to, concede some of their not paid for property of parking, but it's always been on that shoulder that you can park two vehicles, as it is with a lot of residents all the way up and down Walnut. So, mine was first to only have two spots, one at the end of the driveway and one just beside the driveway, to try to reduce and eliminate any liability of property damage to vehicles parked on them. And when it came to the curb, the sidewalk and the rest, if truck drivers were going over top of it, I am fine working with the city to push upon the companies that are infringing on this and make it their liability that they pay for. Like, as soon as they have to pay out a dime, they're going to have their truck drivers definitely watch that, right?
Dane, just turn off your mic. Councillor Meady.
And through you, Madam Mayor. So I had a quick chance to speak with the delegate, and she said that she'd been there since '97. So and it was just this year that this has really kind of come up. So my first question was, have we noticed, have they changed the size of this truck or something? Is this a brand new problem, or has this been a problem for a long time coming?
Through the mayor. No, it's been a problem forever. I think the problem has become more recognizable just because of the quality of the truck drivers coming out of Toronto, being trained with little to no experience, and it is the worst exercise for an 18-wheeler. It's called a blind side back in. You're backing in and you cannot see. Over to your left is not where you're trying to see over to the right, and all you see is the side of the truck. So it opens up to inexperienced truckers to back over people, vehicles, and everything before they even feel it. So, I recognize it's a treacherous one, but they're supposed to be trained on these things. And many of them come up to me and say, it can't be done. And I'm like, then you need to reevaluate your license because that's supposed to be an exercise you should be able to do.
Through you, Madam Mayor again. So yeah, I could see that a safety risk then, and then definitely with a less qualified driver. So seeing as how you would need that area, with those 2 parking spots and that apron's already there, I could even see the town maybe paying for a new apron moved over. But I don't know if I can get to an entire driveway. But it does seem like maybe the 3 parties, 4 parties here should be talking about something like that.
Comments from members of council? Okay, I'll go to Councilor McGuire Blaze first, Deputy Mayor Shepley, and then I'll come back to you.
Thanks through the chair. So this isn't a new issue. And you addressed, you weren't asking for the driveway to the stop sign, which is what we had talked about a couple weeks ago. But you didn't tell us that they were pulling into her driveway a couple weeks ago either, which would have been a problem because regardless, they're still going on her private property. So you came and you asked us to remove the parking spot in front of her house, knowing that they were still using her driveway. No one's ever told you that they're using her driveway in the.
Hold on, Mr. Sanford, just wait. Yeah, just wait till our counselor's done.
So I feel a little bit deceived here, and I can understand why the resident is upset. Would you be willing to, because she seems very, very kind, much kinder than I would be if I was her in that house. She's saying, my driveway's on the right-hand side, and all I want is for someone to put a driveway on the left-hand side, not even close to my garage. Just so that way my personal property, 1, is not getting damaged, and 2, I don't have to stress about it every single time you get a delivery. Would you be willing to put that driveway in for her? To pay 100% of the fee so she doesn't have to worry about that?
Through the mayor. So Ms. McGuire, it is not deception at all. Okay, since 81, before she was even a resident there, we've had that store. It's always been the same entrance, exit and egress, and access and egress. And the truck drivers have negotiated it successfully for decades. Okay, so this is not a deceptive thing on mine. When it comes to the truck drivers pulling into her driveway, I have never witnessed that. Now, am I going to lie and say that it doesn't happen? No, absolutely not. Depending on the quality of the truck driver, are my staff standing on the streets to watch that they don't go onto her personal property? Not at all. Grass that's on the corner has been driven over to the extent of half a foot to a foot. Them trying to negotiate it. So I have seen evidence. As for cracks in the driveway, I was asking Maria just before this, if the cracks in the cement in the driveway on her property were there before, or if they are a result of the driver. Have drivers pulled up into her driveway? I'm sure they probably have. At that point, if her husband had approached me and said, listen, it's exactly this truck, absolutely, I would have endorsed taking any pictures, any videos, and suing the companies. Like, it is the truck drivers' malfeasance on public property trying to negotiate into the only grocery store in town for 50 years. That is the problem, not the store itself, not anything new that the store is doing. It is just the quality of truck drivers, and them hugging the curb has been they've been constantly encroaching and getting closer to her property. So I agree with that. And that's why to limit liability, that was the suggestion after 40 years of the same thing, 50 years of the same thing, to ask formally for 2 spots so that those spots could be void, so that the cars don't have to try to negotiate with a vehicle there and impose liability of hitting another vehicle. So when it comes to grass, what vehicle doesn't go over grass or go over curbs? Like, I can't say that that doesn't happen. But always utilizing her driveway, no, that does not happen. Okay, that I will not agree with. But has it happened in the past? I'm sure it has. And is it always the same truckers on the same routes? Never. So like, I try to get them to never pull in through my King Street entrance, and it lowers the storm drains. So when people are driving in there, they're bouncing up and down because of the truck drivers in their weight, of which they don't even listen to that. Like, it's only lawsuits that would talk. of it. And we've got restrictions, blindside back in from Walnut forever. So we've been trying to work with all the companies, but there's always new truckers driving.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sanford. I think Councilor McGuire Blaze had a pointed question. I'm not sure if you answered it. And it was in regards to the cost of the driveway.
No, I'm not interested in paying for a whole new driveway to go all the way through because again, since the time that she's moved in, truckers have always negotiated that. If it had been a problem, we would have had conversations back and forth in years and years before. But it's only become an issue looking at taking those 2 parking spots. So since that's become the issue, now Maria is looking for.
McGuire Blaze?
Thank you through the chair. Can we undo the no parking then in front of our house? Can we take a look at that? And instead of just letting that go through, we ask for a report and come back at what the actual solution should be. Maybe we jumped the gun 2 weeks ago or whenever we were here.
If we get the mover and the seconder to agree to bring the vote back for a rescinding vote, and we get 2/3 of council's approval, we can rescind that motion. From what I understand, the bylaw has not come to council yet in order to approve that no parking sign. So council could also not approve the bylaw when it comes to council.
Councilor Hammond?
I'll ask you, just because you brought up something, you said that they're blindsiding, and is there anything preventing them from coming at this a way so that they can back in more directly? Because if they come around the block and out, they would have a much easier time back in. Is there a reason they don't come that way, or you just have no control and they just show up and do what they want?
Through the chair, Mr. Shepley, no. So that whole area is residential. There's no way of a truck looping around in any way to get to it. They have to pull down, they have to drive south down Walnut and then back up and going north and negotiate east in. The only other entrance is straight off of King Street, which puts them right in contention with every parking spot, as well as people coming out of the business. And in response to the previous question, I don't believe that this is Maria looking for moving of the her driveway is just because of this new zoning. Nothing has come from this yet. Okay, I had asked Mr. Gerard on the last time when you guys deferred to him to reach out to me personally, and we can discuss it because I didn't approve, taking a huge swath. We've got too much parking that is needed, Carol Fair and all the rest, but those 2 spots will perpetually be needed by the business. And it'll be perpetually trucks. If you can come up with a better solution for a landlocked business, I'm all for it.
Okay. Councilor Hammond?
We have room to do a reassessment of the situation there. And then address the bylaw after some sort of assessment that might alleviate this ongoing problem that's never going to go away unless it's fixed. So I would like to see some sort of report done that with an alternative other than what we've going after right now. I don't see a need. I'm not sure where we are as far as the bylaw or anything, but
First and then Councilor.
Yes, through the chair. Now, when this bylaw comes back to us, we can change it in any way.
Chair, depending on how the bylaw came back, if it came back as a 2 reading at one meeting and a 3rd reading at the additional meeting, which infrastructure services can do, and considering the circumstances should do, then in between the first 2 readings and the 3rd reading, council does have the ability to amend the bylaw, yes.
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. Director Malandrucolo pretty much said what I was going to try and ask and clarify. We've got time here. Hopefully the parties can work through some of the details here. And when it does come back to us, we have another pause, right? With this taking 2 readings and then the third, that was a statement I was going to ask.
Thank you. I do have a couple questions, and then I'll seek a mover and a seconder that the delegation by Maria Cabral be received. So, Mr. Sanford, would it be possible if Maria needed extra parking spots for her to park in your parking lot? Just a quick answer.
On the previous motion before, in the previous meeting, it was people parking in parking spots just across from hers all the time, and they're free to use it. There's no damage to
Okay.
our property.
Thank you. And when the bylaw comes back, maybe something we look at is having, no parking. If we do go forward with no parking, it could be no parking from 8 to 6 or something. Maybe it's not 24 hours. Just another thought. Okay, I need a mover and a seconder that the delegation regarding parking on Walnut Street South be received. Councillor McGuire Blaze and Councillor Allard. Any questions? Councillor McGuire Blaze.
Thank you through the chair. I don't have a question, but to the delegate who came, I hope you take photos of every truck that comes into your property, and I hope you report every single one to the OPP. And I think that you should CC our town administration and report a problem every single time. You can't speak to me. It's fine. I'm just telling you to continue doing it and include us, because we don't see that, and I don't know, that's not part of this report that they gave us. So going forward, I would do it, and hopefully we can resolve this for you.
I'd like to encourage the delegate to instead seek independent legal advice and not take any advice from town council regarding a legal situation. You'll be very well served to get independent legal advice on the situation that has nothing to do with public property.
But that was supported. 8.3, Wendy Cunningham and Don Bazare regarding salute to our veterans.
No, just ask, you know. Yep, there's 2 mics.
Okay. Welcome to council. You each, you get 5 minutes each or 10 minutes together.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Town Council, for letting us speak. Richard and I and Wendy and Brian are part of the Salute Our Vets Banner Committee, which involves the Town of Essex, Center, as well as the Harrow Center. You may remember me as a previous delegate in the fall regarding the new banner policy, and I would like to sincerely thank everyone for not charging us the original $50 per banner per year. That was great news for moving forward. Now that that's behind us, we're proud to launch our 2025 Salute Our Vets banner program. This initiative has been successful in many communities across Canada, and it provides an opportunity to recognize our local community members who have served our great country while acknowledging the sacrifices they've made so we can continue to enjoy the freedoms we have today. As part of this project, we would like to have a number of veteran banners strategically placed on streetlight poles along the downtown core of each center from approximately September 15th to Remembrance Day week in November. At this time, we have limited number in Harrow, and Richard will speak to the Essex Center. We have 26. And there may be opportunity for more banners to be placed in subsequent years depending on demand. The specific objectives and goals of the program are to engage the community in honoring our local veterans, both past and present, in a colorful and vibrant way as we move towards Remembrance Day, to help promote remembrance in our community and future generations, and to help educate students and citizens on the faces and stories of the service of our local veterans. So just with an update to that, we did send out quotes to various suppliers for these veterans, and the deadline was on Friday. From there, I've submitted the banner application as well as a draft just before this meeting. And next steps for Harrow, once we receive approval, is to go out and media blitz and try and see how many veteran banners we're going to get. So that, as part of the new bylaw, the town will be reviewing our banner draft But the process, the draft of the application was just finalized shortly before the meeting. So that will come to you. I guess we'll have to come again and maybe present again. I'm not sure how that works, but anyways, that's it for me.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and council members. My name's Richard Malash. And and I'm here as part of the team that's putting on the Salute Our Vets. This is a program that's in a number of communities already. I don't know if anybody's been to Kingsville in the fall time or Tecumseh. Wheatley has it as well, and they have a very extensive program. Any one of these communities have more than 100 banners up in their communities. Blenheim's another town. I believe St. Mary's has got a really huge program. But a lot of the towns where they have veterans, and it's a great way to honor those who have served our country to give us our freedom. And we know right now what's going on in the world. There's a lot of places where they wish they had the ability to say that they've got a fight going on for them to make sure that they've got freedom. And we know how important it is. We do not want to lose it here. And this is a great way to salute those individuals that have given up, some of them, their lives in order to be able to ensure that we have our freedom. So with that said, we do have 26 poles that we can put banners on for this coming year. And at one time, we were thinking that it was going to be many more poles than that. Just looking at just putting out kind of like an interest to the Legion members and not really expanding it. Once the first set of veteran banners go up, you're going to see a huge crowd of people say, oh my God, I want my relative to be one of those being honored up there as well. Right now, we have well over 50 interest forms, and that's going back like a month ago. I don't even know what the number is now, but it's growing day by day. We can see that this is going to be something that's going to be in great demand coming in the near future once this program starts. And we do have a very strong Legion here. It's one of the largest memberships in anywhere in southwestern Ontario. I believe it's the largest membership in southwestern Ontario. And we have a very strong advocacy of honoring our veterans here. As a testament, we have a beautiful Legion Memorial, or World War I and World War II War Veterans Memorial, which Town Council supported many years ago. So with that said, I don't want to hold you up. We have a couple of asks, and for Essex in particular, and that is that we know that we've got 26 polls this year. We know that it's not going to be near what the demand is going to be. We would like to expand that. So our ask is, first of all, amend the streetlight banner policy to include the additional polls requested. We had a meeting with some members of your administration here for the town of Essex, and it was a great meeting too. But we want to expand it from Arthur to Fairview. And your administration actually was working with us on this. And I'm sure that they'd have to come back with a report to all of you. But we would really like to see this implemented by next year for 2026. There are some additional costs. So we would like to see council review this banner policy to include these additional polls, the ones that can be used. And we were told that there's another 40, I believe. Is it additional 26? Okay, so to accommodate 40, so additional 26. So what we're going to do is we're going to ask you to amend the streetlight banner policy so we can include from Arthur to Fairview. And then on top of that, a second part of it would be to request that the town purchase additional banner brackets to add to these poles on Talbot from Arthur to Fairview as a secondary part of the motion. Now, we know that you've already passed your budget this year. The brackets are actually about $250 per set of brackets. And I think it was 40, an additional 40 poles. So it would be about $10,000 extra cost. So we're asking that if you can look at this for your budget for 2026, because I mean, if you can find it in 2025, that would be fantastic. You guys would be our heroes. But I know how difficult it is being in the seats that you guys are in right now. So we don't want to be abrasive. We're asking for at least this, if you could possibly look at this for 2026. So those are our two asks. And that's it. If you have any questions, we'd be more than glad to answer any questions.
You, Madam Mayor, I just want to, I'm sure as we move forward, we'll definitely be taking this request very seriously and see how best we can work with you. I just wanted to take the opportunity while you are in the room to thank you and your committees so much for taking on this this banner project, especially now more than ever. It's important for us to be loud about our civic pride and honoring our vets. And certainly 26 is a drop in the bucket compared to the amount of people from just our municipality that made that sacrifice, and in some cases, the greatest sacrifice to defend our freedoms. So I think this banner project is wonderful, and I'm really grateful for those of you that have put the work into bringing it to Essex. And I hope council can work with you to support as many banners as we can get out there.
Then Councillor Hammond, then Councillor Guerin.
Mayor Bondi, thank you, Mr. Marlosh. We always appreciate, and sure our Director of Corporate Services, when you mentioned 2026 for budget. However, with that, we obtained a grant this past year where we have an individual that's looking for grants. And they found a Veteran Memorial Funding Grant that looks like there's a portion of this maybe we may be able to apply and be able to get the brackets. So I know through Mr. Macbeth and maybe through some representatives between yourself and Ms. Pizer, can maybe put a submission in and maybe get funding in 2025.
Oh, awesome.
Yes, and through you, Mayor. I'm glad we got an estimated cost on the brackets. Does the town have any idea what the installation of the brackets gonna cost, and then the subsequent installation and removal of these banners? Anybody?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through the chair, we have not gone through this yet to see what the installation costs are. We have in the 2025 budget have operation costs for installing within the banner arms that we already have, but not for any potential expansion from Arthur down to Fairview.
Thanks to the mayor. Yeah, great initiative. I do see them in other municipalities too. I see them in the States. When they're up, it's actually very impressive. Some experience in the banner stuff. The poles that we're speaking of are older poles that once we complete the streetscape, those poles will likely be removed and replaced. We'll just have to get some thought into the brackets we're going to be buying. Hopefully they'll be universal in a sense. They could be used on the existing poles we have now. And when we get the new poles in, be able to be used on them as well. I think the purchasing of a great thought on the grant, if we can get that, awesome. But I think that we got to keep in mind that these brackets, once these things are up, we're going to be using them for other banner initiatives within the town too. So it's an investment I think we're just going to have to do. Great initiative. Thanks for bringing it forward.
Thanks through the chair. So I just have a question for administration, only because I heard two different things. So I just want to make sure. Does the town own the poles or does ELK own the poles? And do we need permission from ELK to add brackets to those poles if they're ELKs?
Through the chair. So the poles that we're referring to, they're the town's poles. They have only streetlight infrastructure on them, and then it's overhead wires. So they do not have any of ELK's infrastructure on them. So they would be ours. And if I could add into Councillor Guerin's comment there, we are mentioning the potential expansion of the streetscape. I do want to let council know that we'd be replacing those poles with the ones that were installed for the taller poles downtown. So if we were to install the next phase, though they would have the banner arms built into them, right? Like those are, that's would be different hardware than we would need to put on the existing older poles. However, you know, if you're looking to expand the program, we could look at to try and find a model that would work other poles to have in different areas of town where we wouldn't be replacing that infrastructure in the future if we were to expand the streetscape.
And then just to the delegates, I believe you were talking to Stephanie Winger. Is she still included? Have you approached the BIA? Because it would be part of something the BIA might be interested in as well.
So that's why I wanted to speak to, the BIA is not here this evening, but they're full out in with this project too. If it can be expanded, they would have banners that they would put from Arthur all the way down to Fairview as well. And they're actually looking that they were, and I think administration already knows this, the ones that were at the meetings, that the BIA were concerned because the smaller ones that ended up having to happen downtown are not big enough for what they wanted to do. They were a little bit disappointed that they couldn't put their signs in those locations. They needed bigger signs. So to expand it would be exactly what they're looking for. So I wanted to mention that as well. The BIA is full out into this. I know that the salute to our veterans is pushing this, driving it right now, but the BIA is 100% behind it too, and they would be using it more than what we would be. We would only have our banners up for 6 to 8 weeks. It's something 6, maybe 7 weeks of the year, and the rest of the year would be the BIA.
For coming forward, and I know that you sent a slideshow. I'm wondering, Cassandra, can you put that right back up there, please, so we can see the actual, the request? So I will be seeking a motion from council that the delegation be received and that council request or that the town purchase additional banner brackets. So I think in our agenda package, it says that council consider paying for the cost of the brackets for additional poles in the streetscape from Maidstone Avenue to Fairview Avenue and direct administration to provide a report detailing where such costs can be allocated. So if we're supporting this, we're getting like a quote. And that Essex amend the streetlight banner policy to include additional poles requested Arthur to Fairview. Moved by Councillor McGuire-Blaise, supported by Deputy Mayor Shepley. Do you have that? It's all three of those. Any other questions? Councillor Guerin?
Mayor, are we amending or we wait for it to come back to us?
Yeah, it's the proposed resolution is that be a part of the report to consider amending the policy and provide a cost of such.
All in favor? Opposed, and that's carried. Thank you for coming out.
Thank you.
Our next delegation is 8.4. We have the director from Windsor Region GIP Paving. Head on back there to the desk. And if you could say your name for us, sir, when you get back there, that would be great, so I don't mispronounce it. And thank you for waiting patiently for us tonight. Welcome, and you have 5 minutes.
Good evening. Thanks for having me. I'm John Marco Giglio. I'm the director for GIP Paving in Windsor, Essex. So the reason I'm here is further to the previous visit in September or October of last year, requesting an extension on the fill permit at 5080 Walker Road. That was denied, and we're looking to place topsoil over that property to complete the work that we had been doing there previously and kind of close out our activities there. So per the request, we're looking to deliver approximately 250 loads or 2,500 cubic meters. We expect the working duration to be between 10 and 15 days. That's weather dependent. We're hoping to do this as quickly as possible, just because of the fact that it's cold right now, the ground's frozen, and we're hoping to not make a mess as best we can, obviously. We just want to us as GIP, we're looking to do right for the property owner there. And, you know, I gave him my word that I would clean up there, and I'm trying my best to hold true to that. So, that's really all I have.
Looking for comments, questions from members of council. Counselor Hammond.
Yes, through you to the delegate. Looking at the map here, I see an area that's shaded in blue. Is this significant? And if so, how? Can we see that map? No, I guess not. There we go.
There, Counselor Hammond, so the aerial view isn't perfectly up to date. The area shaded in blue is where we intend on placing the topsoil we're delivering.
So the rest of the property then would stay the way it is currently?
Through the chair. So, yeah, so what I'm saying is that that picture is not up to date.
Right.
The remainder of the property has already been restored,
Okay.
right? When we were there previously. So what we believe all that's left, and this was from when we had gone out there in the fall. That strip of that blue strip is kind of what we believe is all that is affected and where we need to place topsoil. Obviously, if once we go out there and strip the snow off, if there's other places that need topsoil, we're going to spread it around and do what we need to clean it up, right?
Okay, can I ask Mr. Carter if that's, you concur with what he's saying as far as this will be the last of it here? Should we grant this?
Sure, through Madam Mayor. The blue delineates the heavily traveled portion that the trucks entered the site to the back of the site. The drawing or the pictorial there is fairly accurate. If you look to the left of the blue and north, it's a lighter color. That has been topped with topsoil. That's why you have the distinguishing color. So from the owner of the property, they want specifically that laneway that's heavily packed and the slope going down to interface with the east
Right.
lower lying property. So I do concur.
Okay, one other question. I know there was a level that he was not pertaining to the road that he was not allowed to go over. Does this topsoil infringe on that maximum height, or is he within his range?
Your Madam Mayor, he is within his range. The vast majority, we'll call to the west, is in compliance with our existing bylaw. That is 39 inches from the crown of Walker Road. The blue area specifically that they're requesting the placement of topsoil has latitude for the 6 inches to be topped on top.
Thank you. And through you, Madam Mayor. Couple questions. So just so I can understand, so when I saw this on our agenda again, I'm like, what's going on? We're back. Here we are again. You intended to leave the property, Christine, and that's your objective that you're trying to do. So my understanding, so when you had it and you knew it was coming to a close, that you ran out of time to get the topsoil in, didn't have the topsoil? I'm just wondering why, if it was, the intention was to leave it in good shape, knowing it was coming to a close, why are we now just hearing about the topsoil? Why wasn't that a priority then? If you could answer that, if that'd be great.
The chair. So Deputy Mayor Shepley, I was optimistic that we were going to be able to continue to use the site. And I think in that meeting in the fall last year, I had mentioned that, in the case that the permit at the time wasn't accepted, that I would need to go back to complete this work.
Did you happen to mention how many loads you assume will be coming in? Do you have a load count that you think will be going there? Then we can be like, okay, it's 175, like at an approximate amount of trucks that will be traveling to the property.
Through the chair. So Deputy Mayor Shepley, it'd be approximately 250 truckloads, triaxle truckloads.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And just so you know, Mayor Bondi and I are working on with the county to try and find some sort of a solution for this problem as well. Thank you.
Here. I'm questioning the 250 loads. How long do you think it would take to bring in 250 loads?
Through the chair. So Councillor Allard, we anticipate it to take between 10 and 15 days. In reality, if we wanted to, we could do it in 2, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to go and, I don't want to bombard that site because I want to give the operator and the bulldozer enough time to kind of do what he needs to do so that, we're cleaned up once we're done. And in the application I put for March 31st, obviously, I'm hoping to be done much earlier than that.
This question is to you. It's about the site. When we had this discussion here about this site the last time, we were assured that all the trucks and all the loads being brought in were to bring the property to a farmable state. And any of us that went out there just didn't see it looking like it was headed towards that direction at all at that point. And now my question is 250 truck loads of the topsoil now. At that point, is this parcel going to be ready to farm after this?
Chair, Councillor Verbeek, yes. Our anticipation is yes. We're gonna spread the topsoil. Obviously, the farmer's got to do his thing, and he's gonna till and do all of the things that a farmer does. And yes, what we're trying to do is we're trying to the earth fill that we place there, we need to cover it up with topsoil so that the farmer can do his thing. But yes, to answer your question, yes, we anticipate the 250 loads to be enough material to cover up what's exposed.
I have Councillor Mady, then Councillor Guerin.
Madam Mayor. So in the report, it said that the topsoil is coming from agricultural lands today, so it's good soil.
Through the chair. So yeah, Councillor Mady, we're starting a project in theory this week or Monday next week. There's a site in the town of Tecumseh where they're putting up new condo buildings. It's an existing agricultural site. So the topsoil is coming from there. It has also been tested. So we have reports that the material is uncontaminated, good, clean, viable topsoil.
Thank you. Follow up. So 10 to 15 days, good topsoil on top of it. Our farmers could go and get the field back in, and that's the end of it, right?
Through the chair. Yeah, Councillor Mady, yes, absolutely.
To the delegate, and you can do this work like at this time of year. You can do it right now.
Through the mayor. Yeah, Councillor Guerin, we're so the snow that we've gotten this year actually provides kind of like a blanket on the ground to prevent the frost from going into the topsoil on the site where we're going to be stripping. The site on Walker Road where we're going to be placing, pending approval for this, we're going to go and strip the snow off as soon as possible while it's really cold right now to allow the frost to penetrate a little bit. Because, it provides a hard surface for the trucks to be able to get in and out. And it's going to help us to not make any mess on the road. So, yeah, absolutely. It's, we kind of have a small window right now before things start to get, above zero during the day where, we're going to kind of lose that. So.
Through the mayor, I'll make the motion then that we permit the proponent up to 250 loads and to have those loads on site no later than March 31st of 2025.
Hammond? Comments to the motion now. Counselor Hammond first, then Counselor Verbeek.
Yeah, I just want to mention that I talked to the residents that are adjacent to this site, and they're aware of the 250 loads. They're on side with it, provided this is the end of it. They would like to see it, taken care of and finished off as well. So I just wanted to add that.
I guess to Mr. Carter. So for years and years, this site was being prepared to farm, and it was the loads were going nonstop for years, and it was then when they came in front of us, as we heard over and over, and when they would request extensions to the permits, was to make the land farmable. Now they can do it in 10 to 15 days. I'm sure you're familiar with the proponent. Do you feel confident that we're headed towards this property being farmed? Do you think that's where we're headed after the 250 truckloads?
With that drawing that depicts the blue, that's the only last lying area that does not have topsoil. For the sole reason why GIP indicated they were hoping to get an extension to carry on eastward, which I understand. So now he's asking to finish up the project. This is it, closure, done. Just to add to this, I can assure you, if I see anything other than topsoil, I will shut the project down. I have the latitude to ask for more security. This is security right now, based on the 250 loads, is only $2,600. That's one sweeping of Walker Road. I can increase that to 10,000, which I'm sure GIP has no problem paying that, and they'll be refunded upon completion. So yeah, I feel we're going in the right direction to get closer to this project.
The motion is on the floor. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Robin, I know you came out to speak to it, but this is, to me, this is topsoil. This is not large-scale fill sites. So to me, it's totally separate. If council wants to make a motion to allow you to speak, but at that time, we had a councillor that made a motion. So at that time, you cannot speak to it. So I will leave it with council's hands. We do have a resident who has expressed desire to speak to us about fill sites, but it would have to be topsoil only, because that is what is on our agenda tonight, not large-scale fill sites. So it's up to the will of council. Councillor Mady? Supported by Councillor Verbeek. Any comments to the motion? All in favor? Okay, comment?
I'm worried as well as the delegate, and I believe that's why she wants to speak, that this could open that door, but that's not where that I was very concerned when I saw the agenda, and I think that's what brought you to the room. And this is, it's not apples and apples, it's apples and oranges. And if we ever have to come to that, we spent a very great deal of time working on the bylaw, and it's set now. thankfully, and that's not what's being addressed tonight. And I believe that would be your concern. So I wanted you to know that before you addressed us.
Okay, so we have a motion, if, can you nod if you still want to speak? Okay, a motion on the table to allow the delegate to speak. All in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. You can go back and you have 5 minutes with council.
Thank you very much for letting me speak. I came here to speak against filling 5080 Walker Road. And when I first looked at the application, I also felt that it did not look too bad, like it was written up really nice. I am very worried that this is going to open a door to expand dumping. I don't know how we can say for sure it's going to be topsoil. Like, are we going to have somebody there to control that it's topsoil? Because I mean, at this time of year, when you go to take frozen ground, you're going to get more than topsoil, right? They're planning anyhow. So we've had numerous complaints and meetings to try and put an end to this. I do believe I agree with Councillor Blaze that we do need to look at large field dump sites, and I think she's got a lot of valid points. I'm just worried that as we open this door to allow this area to be dumped, it's an 87-acre farm. I'm not sure why 5 acres is a big concern. I would suggest that the farmer plant his fields, see what he's got, and then maybe look at it for next year. We just 7 weeks into closing the dumping of stuff in our township. I really think we should take a breath and do our due diligence before we start allowing dumping again. The town of Amherstburg does not allow any type of dumping. And I think, I'm sorry if I'm not just talking topsoil, but topsoil is dirt. And the problem is it's the trucks that are coming in, the dust, the dirt. And I do believe that this property had enough notice to finish it off. They had the warning that it was coming to an end. And I'd hate to see the other sites all of a sudden that are kind of messy too, say, oh, we want to do the same thing. He has a project, a brand new project that to me, it just looks like we're looking for another area to dump. So that is my suggestion, is that we wait until next year, let the farmer farm the land and see what happens. Because then we'll know for sure if he's going to farm, if this is truly what's happening. Okay, yeah, so I really think I'd like it not to pass, and I'd like us to take our time and take a look at it and come up with a better plan. That's all. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Robin. So it already has passed. It would have to be a consideration vote. And I don't think council is probably not up for that tonight. At this point, I do want to have a motion to receive your delegation by Robin Charette. Looking to receive it, Deputy Mayor Shepley, Councillor Verbeek, all in favor. That is carried. I also want to make sure that we get a motion to receive the presentation by Director of Windsor Regional, Gianmarco, Windsor Regional GIP Paving. And because we didn't receive that presentation, looking for a mover and a seconder on that. Councillor Allard, Councillor Verbeek, all in favor. That's carried. I did not speak to it. I just want to speak that I think that we need to direct our Economic Development Office to look at vacant piece of properties within our municipality that would or that could become dumping sites that would have minimal impact. So that's something that we can deal with in the future. And I will work with our staff and bring forward a notice of motion on that we find something that's not going to impact neighborhoods. But we do need to talk about taking fill and taking our share of fill. This site, I believe, is done. I believe the motion at least has a timeline, and the neighbors are in favor. I've talked to other people that were delegates. They were okay with topsoil coming in, but after the March 31st deadline, we'll be on them, and I think they know. All right, moving on to our planning now. Planning 2502, request for notice, intention to designate 16 Gordon Avenue. We'll go to Ms. Rita Jabor, our Manager of Planning.
Through the mayor. So this report is looking to issue a notice of intention to designate for 18 Gordon Avenue, which is the former Carnegie building, as well as 87 Station Street, which is the railway station building. And the railway station building and the Carnegie building were actually designated by bylaw back in 1977 and 1998, respectively. But there was an order made under the by the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing back in 1997 as a result of amalgamation, which effectively repealed every bylaw or resolution of the former towns of Essex, Harrow, Colchester North, and Colchester South, with a few exceptions for bylaws made under the Planning Act, Municipal Act, Development Charges Act, Drainage Act, and Highway Traffic Act. Unfortunately, the designation bylaws for the train station and the Carnegie building, they were never amended. So they are effectively revoked as of 2003. So luckily, the railway station and the Carnegie building are under the ownership of the town of Essex. So they have, benefited from that protection. But it is now time to redesignate the train station and the Carnegie building. This gives us an opportunity, because those initial bylaws were passed under a different Heritage Act, gives us the opportunity to update the bylaws as well to ensure that they have the information that's required under the new Heritage Act. But we do have to initiate the entire process again. So council's being asked to issue the notice of intention to designate, and following which we will have to publish it in the local papers, as well as on our website, as well as serve it on the town of Essex, and observe that 30-day period to receive any notices, objections, and then follow up with a designation bylaw and observe an appeal period. So in terms of the properties themselves and their heritage value, we do have attached to this report statements of cultural heritage value, which identify the heritage attributes of both properties, as well as the reasons why they are worthy of designation. Thank you.
That's a pretty good catch. Looking for a motion from council to receive the planning report and authorize the notice of intention to designate 18 Gordon Avenue and 87 Station Street in accordance with Section 29 of the Ontario Heritage Act. Moved by Deputy Mayor, supported by Councilor McGuire-Blaise. Any questions? Comments? All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Moving on to Planning 2504, heritage designation for 18 Talbot Street North. This is the former Bennigan's property.
Through you, Ms. Mayor. So back on October 7th of 2024, Council directed administration to issue a notice of intention to designate the former Bennigan's Imperial Bank of Canada building located at 18 Talbot Street North as a property of significant cultural heritage value or interest. So since that time, we have served notice on the owner. We sent it by registered mail. We've also been able to get in touch with him through the phone, and he was happy with the designation, with the proposal to designate the building. And we haven't received any notices of objections since that notice was initially published. So it is now time for council to determine whether they want to proceed with the designation of the building. There is a bylaw in front of you to designate the site. If council elects to designate the site, there will be a 30-day appeal period that must be observed. And if no appeals are served, the designation bylaw will be registered on title of the property, and notice will again be published in the local papers.
For a mover and a seconder that the planning report be received and that bylaw 2421, being a bylaw to designate the property municipally known as 8 Talbot Street North, be read a first, second, third time and finally passed on February 18th. Moved by Councilor Guerin, supported by Councilor Hammond. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? That's carried. We have one councilor opposed, Councilor McGuire-Blaise. Corporate Services 2025-01, Community Support Center. We will go to Director Drusevich.
Thank you, through the chair. This report in front of council tonight is seeking council's approval to enter into two separate agreements with the Community Support Center of Essex County for operations at the building in Essex, which was formerly the Essex Retirees Center. This is also seeking approval for their transportation program. The town has historically contributed to the Essex retirees in order for them to be eligible for their grant under the Ministry of Seniors and Accessibility Programming. This grant program requires a minimum guarantee of funding from the town for the remaining 20% of their net operating expenses. In 2023, the Essex Retirees was taken over by the Community Support Center of Essex County, and they received these funds through the Community Partnership Fund in 2024. In consultation with their president and our administration, it was believed that this programming would be better suited as formal agreements between the corporation of the town of Essex and this organization. Because we were negotiating the agreement with the center, it did not make the deadline to be presented to the Finance Committee through the normal Community Partnership Fund process. There is also a recommendation to fund this from the remaining unspent funds of the Community Partnership Fund, as well as unspent 2024 council grant donations, as there was surpluses there. The total post-budget approval is approximately $29,000. $15,000 of this would be for the transportation program, which is only funded if used. Typically, ridership only equates to $7,000 annually, but the full $15,000 would ensure that the programming would be available for those that might be in need. They are hoping to boost the participation in the ridership, so allowing the $15,000 would make sure that no one in need is denied. The remaining $14,000 is for operations and required for the center in order for them to get the provincial grant to continue operating at the retirees' former building. Moving forward, this would be earmarked to application through community partnership funds. And at this point, I'd be happy to answer any questions should anyone have them.
Looking for a mover and a seconder, and then we'll have comments. That council authorize administration to enter into agreements with the Community Support Center of Essex County for transportation services and for operations at the Senior Active Living Center, and that council authorize post-budget approval for a community partnership with Community Support Center of Essex County in the amount of $29,000 to be funded as follows: $9,000 from the Community Partnership Fund and $20,000 from the 2024 surplus of council donations account. Moved by Deputy Mayor Shepley, supported by Councillor Mady. Questions, comments? Councillor Himan.
Yes, these services, are they available in other centers like Colchester, or are they strictly only available in Essex?
Chair, I believe anyone in the town of Essex can participate with those services. They're just headquartered in the town of Essex.
Comments, questions from members of council? I'm wondering, Director Drusevich, if we could work with our manager of communications and get something out on our social media about this, so folks, people do know all over, because I don't think people know about this. And we don't have a taxi cab right now, so people have a lot of transportation challenges. So if we could do a media blitz, maybe even like a little announcement. So it's a good chunk of money that we're giving out, so we should do something. Okay, all in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Active Transportation Fund, ATF application. Looking for a mover and a seconder that the infrastructure services report be received and that council direct administration to make an application to the Active Transportation Fund for design and construction of the Maidstone Avenue West improvements. I'm wondering if, Mr. McBath, if you could take us through a quick little walkthrough. It says here that you can answer questions, but this is too important not to highlight a few things.
Madam Mayor, through the chair. So this grant opportunity, the town of Essex will allow us to complete necessary infrastructure and to complete projects that are were within the 5-year capital plan that you approved last fall. It would include intersection improvements to Maidstone Talbot intersection, including water main upgrades in the area from Talbot Street North over to Bell Avenue, as well as a storm sewer trunk main from Allen Avenue up to roughly Bell Avenue as well. That would help with some of the flooding mitigation that we have in that area, which was report that was completed in 2024 by Stantec Consulting for one of the improvements needed to start improving that area. It would also help us complete a multi-use trail, and that we could go all the way from South Talbot Road to Talbot Street North and include infrastructure within the intersection for active transportation as well. From the report there's an approximate cost of about $2 million because we're still because the grant only covers 60% of the fund. So that would be the town's responsibility if we were to receive the grant. Thank you.
For members of council. It's great news. Let's go get it. All in favor? Opposed? Opposed by one, Councillor Hammond, and that is carried. Reports from our youth member, Lauren Smith. Joining us tonight in our nice full house. County Council update, Deputy Mayor Shepley.
Good to you, Madam Mayor. My February 5th County Council update. Essex Windsor EMS recently presented its update master plan to council, outlining a 5-year roadmap for emergency services. The plan forecasts an average annual call volume increase of 4.5% from 2024 to 2030. Population growth in Essex County and higher demand rates in Windsor are key to the drivers in this rise. The County of Essex fees and charges bylaw for 2025 includes increase in the deposit required for work permits issued by infrastructure services, a new fee for field advertising and billboards. The deposit for work permits has been hiked to $1,000 to align with local municipalities. And the new fee, $450 fee for field advertising and billboards is to cover the cost of reviewing sign applications and site visits. The sign permit is good for 3 years. On to another one. Phragmites. The Nature Conservancy of Canada has secured $100,000 from the Ontario Phragmites program to combat invasive Phragmites in Essex County. The Essex County Regional Conservation Authority is leading the effort in collaborating with municipalities and organizations to develop best practices, regional mapping and training, and data sharing. A motion for the county to oversee the regional Phragmites control program was deferred to allow councillors time to consult with their local municipalities. The new hospital project, Essex County Council has invited the representative from the new Windsor Essex Hospital System to project and to attend a meeting in the second quarter of 2025 to talk about the current stage of the hospital construction and healthcare services that will be offered. County Council also invited local MPPs to attend council for discussion of issues regional of importance after the next election results. And finally, I think, two more. A notice of motion to reverse cuts to Invest Windsor Essex will be coming to County Council for discussion. And County Council funding voted to provide $100,000 from the rate stabilization reserve to keep the Leamington to Windsor transit service going in 2025. The town of Essex and Kingsville have each committed $20,000. Leamington has committed $50,000. Provincial funding for the service, which was launched by Leamington in July 2019, ends March 31st, 2024. More than 13,000 one-way riders were logged on the bus route, which has stopped in Leamington, Essex, Kingsville, and Windsor. The transit service runs round trip between Leamington and Windsor 3 times a day, Monday through Friday, and 2 on Saturday. It's also important to note that a report will come to council that Amherstburg, Tecumseh also feed into the city and LaSalle have transit systems that will be considered in this broader regional transit strategy going forward. That's my county council report.
Later on, I do have a notice of motion regarding Phragmites on the agenda so that council will be able to discuss what we would like to do with Phragmites and perhaps get some more information from the county. I also think that potentially, and I just thought of this now, so I apologize. I think that maybe we should lobby the provincial government to reinstate that grant for the Leamington to Windsor bus. So if somebody wants to move that we receive the County of Essex regular county meeting minutes and send a letter to the province saying that we would like the funding to go back for the transit, then we could do that. And that's moved by Counselor Mady, supported by Counselor Allard. Any other questions? Counselor McGuire-Blaze.
Thank you through the chair. When you received the transportation study, did it like I hear the overall numbers, but did it tell us how many people get on and off at the stops? Like, are the people just using it from one end to the other, or like how many people in Essex are getting on and off, or how many people are traveling from Windsor, Leamington to Essex for work or recreation? Is there any of those details?
We didn't have the exact details, but I could get back to you with information.
Has some details, and I'll make sure to send you the council the report if I haven't already. Director Morissette.
Through Mayor Bondi. So we do get statistics sent to us regularly. I don't have them in front of me right now, but I can send for council's records after this meeting. I'll send those over tomorrow.
Is that we receive the county council report. We lobby the provincial government to reinstate the funding, and potentially we send it to the town of Kingsville and the town of Leamington as well, so they can maybe join suit. Okay, all in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Moving on to correspondence to be received. Looking for a mover and a seconder that the correspondence in 13.1 be received, and that if council members want to bring one up after, they may do so. Moved by Deputy Mayor, supported by Counselor McGuire-Blaze. All in favor? That's carried. Anybody want to pull out anything? Going once? Going twice? Okay. Going 3 times. 3.2, correspondence to be considered for receive and support Coam Park Committee. We have, there was a vacancy there, so we have an application by Rachel Mills to be appointed to the Coam Park Committee to be received and supported. Councillor Verbeek, what would you like to do? Moved by Councillor Verbeek to receive and support, supported by Councillor Allard. And do we know if there's any more vacancies there? Does anybody know? Councillor Verbeek? Essex is now full, but sounds like there's maybe some vacancies in Amherstburg. 1, okay. All right, all in favor? That's carried. If you're an Amherstburg resident and you want to get involved in Coam Park, submit it to your town. Arts, Culture, and Tourism. Resignation of Tracy Armstrong from the Arts, Culture, and Tourism Committee, that the resignation of Tracy Armstrong from the ACT Committee be received, and that council direct administration to write a letter of appreciation and thanks for her commitment. Moved by, I'm trying to get everybody. Councillor Mady, supported by Councillor Allard. Any questions? All in favor? That's carried. Committee meeting minutes. We have 3 committee meeting minutes listed in our agenda item tonight. The Affordable Housing Task Force, Arts, Culture, Tourism, Santa's Village Committee, the unapproved minutes from January. Looking for a mover and a seconder. Moved by Deputy Mayor Shepley, supported by Councillor Verbeek. Any questions on those minutes? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Nothing under financial, nothing under new business. Now we will go to notices of motion. Director Malinjuko.
Bondi, through you. The following notices of motion were presented at the February 3rd, 2025 regular council meeting and are being brought forward this evening for council's consideration. Number 1, moved by Councillor Verbeek that council direct administration to provide a report on an amendment to bylaw 1605 being an agreement with Harrow Healthcare to lease space in the McGregor Community Center to incorporate 2 hours of weekly programming times at no charge as part of the agreement.
Supported by Deputy Mayor Shepley. Councillor Verbeek, would you like to speak to your motion?
Thanks. Through you, Madam Mayor, just to bring some clarity to this motion to my fellow councillors. What this is about is the Harrow Health Center has a satellite office that they already leased from us in our community building in McGregor and serve that community as well. At their Harrow location, at some time back, they started some outreach with the community, offering free services to bring the community together. It included social coffee and social time with seniors, some chair yoga, a walking program, all free services offered to the community. So they leased the space in our McGregor Community Center, and they've come forward and requested from us that they be able to use, the bigger room behind their satellite office, behind their medical center, to host coffee in the community. Now, with our growing senior demographic in McGregor, this is a perfect fit, right? To be able to offer this opportunity to them. It's really no cost to us. They're in the building already. They would not need staff. We just, as we have with other leases, just, lump in that time. 2 hours to start is what they're looking at. They're already operating a free walking program from the satellite office in McGregor for the community now. They want to start with the social for our seniors, coffee hour 1 day a week, and they'd like to see if that could lead to some free chair yoga classes. So I'm just, I'm open to any more questions. I have worked with, our CAO and Director Morissette and the director of the healthcare center to see if it's something we could do. And this is where we're at. We're wondering if council supports wrapping that extra 2 hours into their already lease.
Questions, comments from members of council? I see this as an amazing win-win for an area that doesn't have a lot of programming, and they're getting a new apartment that is mostly geared to seniors. When they first opened the health center part of it, we helped them a lot with rent until they could get up and running. So it's kind of similar. Eventually, they will be able to prove with data and stats to the province that they need their own funding for this. So it's kind of like a seed money for health and wellness in an area that is underserviced. So I think it's great. Any other questions? All in favor? That is carried unanimously. Moving on to the next notice of motion.
Second notice of motion being brought forward for presentment tonight is moved by Mayor Bondi that council direct administration to provide a high-level report on the condition and operational capacity of the town's sanitary treatment facilities.
By Mayor Bondi, seconded by Councillor McGuire Blaze. Mayor Bondi.
They're just trying to get information on all of our sewage lagoons so we know where they are with capacity, know where they are in terms of capital replacement infrastructure needs going forward for the next 5-10 years. That's all.
Any other questions? Hammond.
Yes, through you, Deputy. Haven't we already done some of this already? Anybody?
Mr. McBeth.
Chair, I believe that we do annual reports and have studies that have been completed by Aqua, who runs our treatment plants, as to where we are in capacity. So it should just be a matter of putting that together and putting it in a report. I don't believe we need to do any studies. It's just a matter of collecting the data and then sharing it with council. Thank you.
Through you, Chair. So the first question is from the county council reports that came up with the regional Phragmites, and our mayor had mentioned that there was notice of motion coming. I don't see it on my agenda. So seeing as how this has sanitary in it and a drain of some kind, I did want to take a second to say that when we look at the Phragmites and the drains that are going to be with it, as we go to a regional approach, we have to be on our game so that townships like us, municipalities like us that might have a whole bunch of Phragmites, being compared to a much larger regional partner like the city of Windsor that doesn't have as much Phragmites. We really need to push that the equity is there, not just an equality type thing. So I think that fits into sanitary treatment.
Maybe I think the Phragmites one's coming though. Any other questions? Councillor Guerin.
Through you, I support the motion. I'm just wondering what high-level report versus report is? Is it because we're dealing with Aqua, or what is high-level report? I guess to Mayor Bondi, what's high-level report versus just report?
Andy?
High level is, using the information that we have, that administration already has, and putting it together for us. So if somebody asks us how are the Essex Ward 1 sewage lagoons? What's the capacity? What do we need to do? It's almost like looking at capital dollars. What do we need to do in the future? How many homes can we build? Like, we spend a lot of time talking about the brick and mortar plants, but we don't talk about our sewage lagoons, which are equally as important. So just having some information. If somebody stopped us on the street right now and said, what is the state of the sewage lagoons in Harrow? I'd be like, I don't know. So it's just giving us more tools when we get asked questions from developers. We know that Harrow needs a pump station, but what else is coming in the Essex Ward 1 lagoons? What else is coming? We know we're doing work to the Colchester lagoons. How much is that going to cost? What's coming next? And just kind of getting a better grip on it. I'm part of the OMWA, that's the Ontario Water Board group. So I'm really focused on, I take workshops on these, and then like the lead one was another one. And then this is this one. They do workshops on these. So then I come back and I want to get this information for us just because I'm curious. So we know.
Manager Macbeth.
Through the chair, I'd also want to add, right, as part of the budget that we've had approved, we do have a master servicing plan that is supposed to be completed by the town. It is trying to align with the official plan, right, that being completed first, but that will also be a more detailed report that will come out in the future when we are able to start that. Thank you.
No other questions? All in favor? And that carries.
Through the chair, the third notice of motion being brought forward tonight for council's consideration is moved by Mayor Bondi, that council direct administration to prepare a report on, number one, the current winter control service levels for the downtown core areas, including a detailed breakdown of the existing service standards, cost estimates and budget impacts associated with increasing the service levels, and the projected effect of these changes on the annual public works operating budget and tax base. And number two, an overview of the winter control bylaw, specifically current responsibilities of businesses in relation to snow removal in front of their properties, and any potential gaps or challenges associated with the enforcement of these responsibilities.
Bondi, seconded by Councillor Allard. Mayor Bondi?
Back to previous council meetings, and we had the discussion before when council was actually at the Civic Center on what is our level of service? Do we want to change that level of service? What is the responsibility of businesses? And I think it's just time to have that conversation again. We haven't had any night crews in yet this year. I don't even know if this term, maybe we did, I'm not sure. But just getting more information, talking about it, who's responsible for what. And just as a side note, for members of council, any motion that I put on the council agenda has been vetted by administration. I would never blindside administration. So I do it in conjunction with the directors in that department. So it already has not a stamp of approval, of course, but it already has been vetted by our administration. So I know that we've had a lot of snow this year compared to last year, and it's opened up a lot of questions on who's responsible for what.
Sir, comments? Councillor McGuire Blaze.
Thank you, Chair. I am freezing, just so everybody knows. I am so cold. But I am bringing this topic up to the Essex Center BIA. So we will be talking about it on Wednesday to just remind the businesses that it is their responsibility to do some winter maintenance outside in front of their businesses, and to see maybe what we could do to help as a BIA. So when it comes to the businesses, when we're talking about this, we will have some kind of answer of what the BIA is prepared to do or willing to do, if anything. And I'd like to provide that to our administration while they're creating this report, so that they have that in mind. But it is on the businesses and the residents to make sure that their driveways are clear. And I think that maybe a lot of it is knowledge, like letting people know how long they have. I know we put it on Facebook often, but not everybody is on Facebook. And I know that there's the Snow Angels in Essex, but not everybody knows about the Snow Angels in Essex. So I think that there's some things that maybe we can educate the public on. And I would love to use our property tax bills that we send out twice a year as one of those things. So we did receive a newsletter in it, but there was nothing about snow. So I would just like to see an extra piece in the beginning of the year tax bills that everybody receives that remind you about the snow removal and what your obligations are. So thank you for bringing the motion up.
Questions? Seeing none. Oh, Mayor Bondi, go ahead.
Question, or the last topic I would like covered, is our residents find when the snowplow pushes hard snow back onto their sidewalk? Because I had a gentleman come to town hall today and he's older, and he shovels the sidewalk all the time, but it's on Bryan Avenue and there is no grass barrier there. So every time the snowplow goes by, it has nowhere to go put the snow, so it goes on his sidewalk. And then it becomes solid and thick and hard to move. So I would like to know, I would like to see if that is something that we ticket people, because I don't believe that that's exactly fair.
Beth.
Thank you. Through the chair, I believe that is probably best directed at bylaw, because that would be not something that infrastructure services would ticket anyone for. And I know that there is a bit of a grace period there from once the snow falls to get it off. I think it's 4 hours, but bylaw would be your best bet to indicate whether or not that would be a finable offense. Thank you.
Macbeth, one thing that I want to point out to the public too, that is available, that it's just, when you do a report a problem for snow on sidewalks now, there is in the drop-down menu that you can direct it for snow instead of guessing where it should be. It will help streamline that service for anybody with a report a problem. No other questions? Oh, Director Chadwick.
You, Deputy Mayor. To clarify, there is the grace period after accumulation of snow of 12 hours for residential. So we can certainly include information in the report. We planned on supplementing the administration's report coming from infrastructure services, but collaborating on the report to provide information on what is a finable offense and what is not.
Director Chadwick. One other thing that just popped into my mind is maybe in that report, when we do get it, maybe we could send out a reminder to our contractors that we contract out to do what their responsibilities are as well in that same piece. And moving forward, all in favor? Sorry. Thank you. That carries.
Moving on to notice of the motion being brought forward for presentment. The following notice of motion is being brought forward for presentment only and will be brought forward for council's consideration at the March 3, 2025 regular council meeting. Moved by Mayor Bondi that council direct administration to review the amount of garbage containers in our downtown cores to be effective in keeping our community clean. This includes the addition of cigarette butt containers as well. Also moved by Mayor Bondi, as previously alluded to, that council of the town of Essex direct the town's administration to request more information from the county of Essex regarding the proposed uploading of the management of Phragmites to the county of Essex in advance of making a decision at the local level. Information such as scope, level of service, and costs associated with the program would be helpful in determining next steps.
The Phragmites one, we're running out of time, so we needed to get it at least out there. Reports and announcements from council members. We'll start with Councillor McGuire Blaze.
Nothing to report.
I know it's still winter time, but we got to be thinking of summer. And I noticed the town has put out for the burn permits that you have to redo your burn permit. It ends on the end of the year, so a new one come out, you have to get a new burn permit.
I'm sure we're all aware that Coan Park is getting a new playground, and There's 4 beautiful parks that are in the running, and I'm going to encourage people to go to the Town of Essex site and have your voice heard and vote for the park you like best. I think the closing date is the 21st, Director Morissette. 2 more days to vote, or 3 more days to vote? Thank you.
Report.
Provincial election in 9 days. I encourage everyone to go out and vote, please, on the 27th.
Thank you, everybody. It is Heritage Week, and our staff have delivered these lovely little activity coloring books to the schools, and they're just amazing, to JK to grade 5, I think. So love to see some of these filled out, and thank you everybody for putting their work into them. Also, on the County of Essex, we identified local priorities that we've talked about at the county council table to get the word out to our candidates that are running in the election, to talk to them or to share with them priorities. A lot of it is infrastructure dollars, housing, EMS, healthcare. So take a look at those, and when your candidates knock on your door, make sure they're hitting our local priorities. All right, moving on to our bylaws. Bylaws requiring a third and final reading. Bylaw 2418 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the February 3rd regular council meeting. Be read a third and finally passed on February 18th. Moved by Councillor Garing, Councillor Mady. Any questions? All in favor? That's carried. Bylaws requiring a first, second, third, final reading. Bylaw 2386 being a bylaw to amend bylaw 2221 to regulate and license dog kennel fees. And I need a mover and a seconder that be read a first, second, third time, finally passed on February 18th. Deputy Mayor Shepley, Councillor Hammond, and I took a look at that. It just cleans up some language. It's nice. All in favor? That carries. Bylaws requiring a first and second reading. Bylaw 2421 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the February 18th regular council meeting. Moved by Deputy Mayor Shepley, Councillor McGuire Blaze. All in favor? That's carried. And thank you for joining us tonight. And I need a motion to adjourn. Councillor Hammond, Councillor Allard, all in favor. That's carried.